All right, and now we're switching down. We're going down to the southern hemisphere. We got Copa America. I mean, what you've been, we've talked. You talked about how much you like Copa America. This is a new format. A lot happened before the tournament. What are your thoughts so far of the tournament so far?
Um, to be honest, I haven't watched the game in a couple of days because I'm not into it anymore. I really was a defender of Copa America. I grew up watching Copa America. I grew up watching, Mexico, going to the finals. And I think one of my first memories was them losing to Colombia in the final in Colombia, in '99. So like, actually '99, '01, I think '01 or '99. I'm not sure.
Yeah, one.
'01, yeah. So I always like Copa America. One, because I think the Mexican teams can definitely compete with these teams. Number one, and traditionally they've done it. Obviously, they had one slip up, and I was there live as well, but I don't want to talk about that. But just I've always been into Copa America, man. I've always loved watching Argentina. I've always loved watching Brazil. I've always loved watching Colombia and teams like that just compete. I do think it's missing two things. Number one, they're missing fans, obviously, and that's definitely hurting them, especially in a place like Brazil. But obviously, wherever it would be nice to watch fans or have fans on. Having fans on TV is different, right? Especially like it was like the NBA when they were in the bubble. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it. It wasn't for me. I needed to see the fans' reactions and stuff and the sounds. The second thing as well, I think is hurting them is not having the two guest teams. I think that definitely brings spice to the tournament. Not only does it help out with the group stage, because we talked about how it's too much with four group games and one team being asked to leave after four games. So that definitely hurts them, because traditionally, they've invited Mexico and whatever other team, and it just had more spice to it, and we obviously saw the success of Copa America 2016 when they joined with CONCACAF, which I thought was great. It was a great event. It was actually one of the, it was very even. You might have a couple teams that probably don't belong in there, but it was very even. It had a kind of a Euro feel where you have like, five or six contenders and some other teams that are pushing to get in there and some other teams that probably don't belong there. But it was a little mini World Cup. It was pretty cool to watch. So yeah, I guess my one word to describe America right now is just boring for sure.
Yeah, I have to agree with you that I think some things that don't help it. Turns out it doesn't help it is the structure of it. The two groups. One, because of the odd numbers in each group. There's just no fluidity to it. There's one team has an extra rest, one team has to rest while the other two play, and then because there's two groups that there's too much gap between each game a little bit, and there's no time to build. I think when you watch with the Euros, we just went we just went almost 2 weeks with game, and so that builds, and then you feel like you've earned the rest
Yeah.
between,
Right.
what I mean. And here right off the bat, you get 2 games, and a couple days rest, and 2 games, a couple days rest, and it's a different set of game. It's a different set of teams. Right now, a couple teams have 2 games, a couple teams have 3 games on the same group,
Yeah.
and so I think that has really hurt it. I think the fact that they've been playing a lot before with the World Cup qualifying, it's also nothing new because it's the same 10 teams too, and that also kind of makes it a little bit flat. You mentioned the other good points about not having fans there and how that's kind of dampened it as well. So yeah, it hasn't been the atmosphere I think they were hoping for. Also the struggles that are happening in South America lay a little cloud over it as well. With why they had to change it so many times. I mean, I think that's still a layer of it too, where it's almost like because the product's not being delivered at the highest quality. Now it's almost starting to be like, why did we even have it at this point, right?
Right.
Because
You could
now,
you they could have not had it and no one would notice. Literally, they
yeah,
could have not had it at all and no one would. And you know what? I'm kind of fearing that Copa Oro will be that way. I am hoping that Copa Oro will not be that way only because there will be fans. Number one. Number two, it will be a toss up, and we'll talk about that in a second with teams bringing in different players, and it's new teams that won't be in the qualifiers, so they're going to go all out, right? So that has a little bit more taste than Copa America does. So I'm hoping that Copa Oro, you might see Copa Oro have a better level of play than Copa America. You might see that, to be honest.
yeah, and I think with the thing with the Copa America, with the Copa Oro too, they've expanded it to 16 teams to allow more of the Caribbean team or the lower end teams to have an opportunity to play higher level games.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's kind of that more traditional four groups of four, and again, it's going to flow better too because of that. Because now there's an even number in each group. So I think Copa America has a lot to learn. I think in the future, take less, invite 2 other teams, find 2 other teams where you can, whether it's Mexico, United States, Japan, Korea, if you want to get some of the African teams as well, something because it's showing that the 10 groups don't work, or the 10 teams, sorry, the 10 teams don't work, and it just makes it very wonky. And it's really tough when you go from watching these Euro games and go directly right to Copa America. You can just kind of feel it all just being a little bit sunk down a little bit.
And it's not fair because if you put a Brazil, because Brazil is Brazil, right? You put them in, Euros, they're gonna do damage too. So it's unfair to be like, oh, they all suck. It's like, nah, it's not that. I think the whole tournament, everything about it, like you said, moving moving places, host city, host nation, the COVID situation, the no fans, the fact that they're gonna play each other again for qualifiers in the next 2 months, all that kind of plays into like just showing you bad level because teams are just bringing in, they're just doing whatever. I think they just want to get through there and not get hurt, but it definitely doesn't make Copa America look good. And I'm hoping CONMEBOL sees that. And I'm hoping they're on the phone next year trying to get Mexico and US in the next Copa America for sure. I think if they want to make money, they got to do that.
Yeah, and I think just go back to 12 teams, go through groups of 4, do that. I think just makes it so much better from a structure standpoint, from a flow standpoint to the tournament. And it's been a lot of games. I think we did talk about how this setup of two groups of 5 allows you to have like rotation and allows you to not be at your best every time. And I think you're seeing it right now. Maybe once the quarterfinals start, it'll be like another level, but definitely has to be a wait and see. And hopefully that, there's no really other option but up with this. So
yeah, this is definitely gonna be the worst one that they've seen, I think. And this is an idea just came to my head right here. Instead of having 2 Copa Americas and 2 Copa Oros every World Cup cycle, you have your Copa Oro, you have your Copa America separate, and then you do one that's combined before the World Cup, So you do like a little, instead of having 2 of each, just have 1 of each, and then have some kind of combined tournament. You have to name it something else, but it doesn't hurt to have that. It doesn't really hurt. I mean, it's great. I mean, Costa Rica can compete with some of these teams. Honduras is better than Bolivia and some of these other countries. So, like let them do it. We saw how good that, that turned out. It didn't turn out well for the people above. We know the scandal came after that, but it definitely turned out well for the fans and TV for sure.
And I mean, definitely helped out their pockets too. No,
and as I'm saying, money wise, everything, but we all know after that, that led to some problems with FIFA for sure.
So we'll hope to see the Copa America get a little better. But now moving on to the 50-50s, Guti, I know you excel at these.